This meeting of the House Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight to order this afternoon. We have one proposition before us, Senate Bill 288, LC 335498S. Senator Bethel, do you want to give us a quick overview, and would you stand for any questions? I know you have a place to be.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're just trying to get good House bills out of Senate committees, so I've been across the road. Says I'm on. Am I too far away, maybe? I appreciate the opportunity to come back for a hearing and do again apologize to the chair and the committee for not having the committee sub in front of you at the last hearing. Just a quick review. The bill proper is what you see in section 1, and that basically would require any sort of sanctioning or rulemaking body that governs public school athletics or extracurricular activities to provide to its membership an annual financial report, a comprehensive financial report. Of course, once it does that to its membership, that becomes a public record. So primarily this is seeking transparency. Section 1A was added in the Senate as an inartful amendment, and so the committee sub is designed to perfect what was intended there without making it a floor amendment. And this is the reinstatement of the General Assembly's Joint High School Athletics Overview Committee. I will represent to the committee that this is the exact language that has been part of Georgia law, with one exception. That deals with the appointment of members from the Senate side rather than the Committee on Assignments. I have placed the Lieutenant Governor in that role. That was the intended posture of the Senate when it passed the amendment that we passed there. And otherwise, that is the body that functioned and just devolved upon sunset. And so we would like to reinstate that and ask that committee to meet. This is not an attempt to manage or in any way direct the activities of organizations like the GHSA or any other organizations of that sort, but just exercise oversight over organizations that derive their revenue from taxpayer subsidized activity. The chair has presented me with a proposed amendment. I know he has worked on this issue far longer than I, and I consider that a friendly amendment, and would, if to the extent it's the committee's will, I would accept that as an improvement on the bill, and we'll look at going forward with it if that's the will of the committee. I would welcome questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Are there are a couple of questions? Representative. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just a quick question. The financial report that's given, does that have to be audited, or is it just a financial report they pull together?
I specifically, in drafting this legislation, thank you for the question, Representative, did not specify an audited financial report. My desire was, and actually to a certain extent that's come to fruition, that bodies would respond affirmatively. In the example of the GHSA, they immediately posted, the week that we heard it in committee, they immediately posted their audited financial report on their website. I think that certainly complies with what's required here. I do not want to be overly burdensome on organizations that are helping kids, and so I didn't put it in there unless we needed it. If we wanted to come back and somebody wasn't in compliance or was doing some sort of minimal compliance, maybe you come back and look at that later. But I like the soft hand government. So.
Is the Georgia High School Association a 501(c)(3)?
I believe they. Are you a 501c3? Yeah, that's correct.
And did you find out who the broker was after looking at this financial statement? I want to make sure I didn't get them.
Well, thank you, Chairman. No, I'm not familiar with who their investment broker is. But again, those are the sorts of questions, and I don't want to put them in a bad spot. I think that working together is a good thing. Those are the sorts of questions that an oversight committee, I think, can have, sort of informally, and have discussions around what decisions are and aren't being made at that level.
And I had one other question. It's come to my attention when you buy, maybe I've got like Valdosta Wildcats, Tifton Blue Devils, and all these things. If they have a little label in there with the Georgia High School Association that you get a royalty out of that, where in the financial statement is it listed what the schools get out of that?
I would defer to the GHSA to specifically respond to that. I do not believe that the schools, the member schools, partake in the royalty proceedings, but I could be wrong about that.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman, you had mentioned that to me briefly earlier, and I know Mr. Yao is here and can answer some of those questions. Dr. Swearingen was up yesterday. This was originally scheduled to be heard in a different committee. He has, the executive director of Georgia High School, had places to be today relative, I believe, to the state basketball playoffs that are in their final weekend. Is that not true, Mr. And we felt like that, given that that was a major event for the kids and what they do, we gave them the pass. If it's, I hope that's satisfactory to the committee, because we have another opportunity to speak on Senate Bill 343 on Monday. So perhaps at that time we can make a list. And I believe, Mr. Yao, what the chair lady was referring to was on page 8 of the financials. It says change in long-term assets, and there's a fairly significant decrease. And I guess the chair lady is wondering if that's a loss in capital value, or if that was a transfer from long-term to short-term assets. And we can ask the Dr. Swearingen on that.
And it's not for us to look over. I mean, I know this isn't my job. We're overstating by even questioning their financial statement, but I do feel like I have a right to ask about the royalties of the T-shirts and everything.
Well, yes, ma'am.
My school's involved.
I think that's fair. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sorry I was catty about the broker thing.
Well, I mean, I will, Madam Chairman, if they on $4 million, if they lost $500,000 in last year's stock market, I think it's fair to ask who their broker is, because it was up market. But I'm sure the Dr. Swearingen can share their philosophy for doing that. And that is a good question, Madam Chair. Coach.
Am I on? Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a friendly question. And Chairman Houston, what size T-shirts you wear? It's all about the kids. It's a friendly question. What is a soft hand?
I don't. It means that I don't want to be aggressive in getting into the business of any of these organizations.
Okay, thank you.
I know it's about the kids, but I just want to make sure my kids get their royalty for their T-shirt.
Further questions of the gentleman? Further questions to the gentleman? Okay. Thank you very much. Senator, let me, if I may, and I should have done this beforehand, point out to the committee, you have in your packet AM 33-1409 that the senator and I have discussed. Representative Jordan mentioned his concern about the charges and the cost to the playoff tickets. This senator might be a little bit more hard-handed than we wanted to do, but if the committee so desires, I think it would be good to put into the bill for discussion as we move forward. And this is language that does not tell them what to charge for playoffs, but it says no more than they charge during the regular season. I think if this, to be honest, I think if this language were to have a chance to stay in the bill, we would need to set it a few years in advance and give them time to come back. But I think it sends the message, and we want this to be a bipartisan effort, and the representative made a good point at the last meeting that, finances is tough for kids, and perhaps Dr. Swearingen can share with the committee what he did with me in the office recently about the focus that Georgia High School is taking to make sure, of course, that revenues come in to the schools, but that they're very concerned with youth attending these functions and doing that. And I think Representative Jordan made a good point to bring that up. We'd like to, if the committee would consider that, amending the proposition to go forward and keep that discussion going on, so that we give Georgia High School an opportunity to let the committee and the legislature know that they do have the same concerns that Representative or Chairman Houston has for the kids.
I think.
But I think I was looking at this wrong. I thought maybe 2013 would be after 2012. I might have done it. On page 2, on long-term investments. Okay, we've got it crossed up.
What number are you, Madam Chair?
I'm number 26 on page 2. There you go. On page 2, I think I made a mistake. I was looking at 2012, thinking that would be the first year, and the second year would be 2013. And maybe I didn't, so I made a mistake. I do need to know who the broker is, probably. It is duly noted. I just looked up there, the first line, I thought that would be 12, and the next, but it's inadvertently the backwards from the way. And let me know who your broker is. I would like to meet him. Thank you. It was my mistake. I saw the 2012 and 13 mixed up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You said maybe the rate should be the same as in the regular season?
That's what the amendment is. Sorry, the amendment is drafted that the play, if you read, the students should be charged the admission to playoff games at high school facilities at a amount no greater than for the regular season. That's what I believe the Representative Jordan had spoken of earlier. It's just something for discussion.
The only question, does every high school in the state of Georgia charge the same for every baseball game or every football game in regular season? I don't think so either.
No.
That's the only question I have is how you would. Some schools charge $4 for a baseball game, some charge $6, and they have playoffs. So that was my question. If you said no more than the regular season, I don't know.
The way I read the chairman's amendment, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. The way I read the chairman's amendment is twofold. One is important to note that it says at high school facilities. That is to say the basketball tournament at Macon, in the Coliseum or the Georgia Dome, those would be different. But that it says, no greater than they are charged during the regular season. I would read that to mean
At the home.
at that high school facility. In other words, what your regular season rate is.
Mr. Chairman, is the only thing we do baseball on a home and home. Maybe I don't know of anything else. Do we do anything else other than?
Well, basketball is usually home and home most of the time.
Well, it is till the finals. We played in Macon, isn't it?
Oh, well, you mean the championships are played on site?
Yeah, I mean the only championship is played that I know of baseball, isn't it, on home and home basis at the finals? I don't know. I'm just.
Everything really, I believe, except wrestling, football is, I guess, their home. The quarters.
You're talking about the final games at home,
right? Yeah, and the idea, if I may, to be clear here, is to just have a discussion that. I believe Representative Jordan, I'm not putting his words in his mouth if he wants to go back to last, but express some concern. I had seen in the past the sticker shock when kids come to a playoff game. So in each individual community, when you're going to see a game at Milton High School, kids are familiar with what they paid during the regular season. If it be Camden County, they're familiar with what they paid. And generally the visiting team is going to know what's happening. Sometimes they have pre-sale tickets and so forth. So again, I think this is for discussion, and it's going to give Georgia High School the opportunity to tell the committee on Monday and to talk to the senator that they hear that concern and they want to make sure youth in the community can go see their big brothers and sisters and role models play.
I apologize. I was talking about the final game.
Yes,
You're
sir.
talking about all playoffs.
All playoff games. Yes, sir. I mean, and we realize that lessening gate receipts would impact each school. So it just wants to be for discussions to have that discussion. We don't, again, go, but Senator, it's great, good words of be soft-handed and suggestive, I guess, on that. Representative, you wave? Yes, sir. Representative Jordan.
It's my understanding, thank you, Senator, for your bill, of course, that an adjustment was made 2 years ago, last year, on the prices of basketball games, which was my concern. Is that true?
I would defer whether they made a policy change. And again, it's a good question that to me highlights the need for the oversight committee to try and have that conversation, because Dr. Swearingen's not here, and to me it's more effective to have an oversight committee relationship where you can have that informal conversation and sort of have that roundtable discussion of a lot of different issues. I don't know what their policy is, or if there's been a change relative to playoff.
Last year in the state final football game over what it was in years before that. And of course, costs at the Dome have increased. Talking about home games.
Mr. Scott, if you would, since they're taping, I'm going to turn your microphone over there if you would.
Speaking about home games and each team having the same thing, Colquitt County Moultrie has a higher cost during the regular season to see football games than what the playoff is at the Dome. So it varies. Some have no charge during regular season, but others have a charge. Just like parking, some have no parking fees and some have, and that's revenue that goes to the local system.
Other questions of the senator? I will leave it, again, we have the amendment before us. The senator, I had the amendment drafted after talking with the senator and listening to our colleague, Representative Jordan, on the amendment. We can have the discussion because this bill has changed in the House, and it can be discussed as it goes on in the Senate. So I'll yield to the will of the committee. The chair's not going to be heard either way. If the committee wishes to add the amendment to the bill and have it in for discussion to come out if it needs to come out, or if the committee wishes to move the bill as presented in LC 335498S. We've had the discussion about the pricing, and that's brought it up to the conversation level. So if the committee wishes to move the bill as it is unamended, for simplicity's sake, we would do that. Are there further questions of the author at this time? Yes, sir. You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question before we vote on that. We're going to vote on this amendment.
Well, that would be the will of the committee.
Okay.
Sorry, let me answer that. That would be the will of the committee. If the committee, we've had the discussion about it. If the committee wishes to go forward with the bill as is, perfect the amendment for consideration by the senator when he takes it back to the Senate, I would be fine with that. If it's your sort of idea, Representative, if you would like to move the bill without the amendment and work with the senator on perfection of the amendment, that would be fine.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say, I want to add to this amendment that if a game is played at a different facility, for example, the Dome, that there would be an adult price and a child's price.
Yes, sir. And the way the amendment is drafted, this amendment would only apply to playoff games at high school facilities. So it would not apply to the Dome or to the Macon Coliseum or the Gwinnett Civic Center. It would have no application there whatsoever. Let me make a suggestion. This was the chair's idea to try to reference your point. Let me make a suggestion. We've had the conversation in committee about the pricing. Let me suggest, unless somebody just feels strongly, that we, if the committee wishes to move the bill as it is, it has a change. We have opportunity for further discussion that the senator would have, and if the amendment is causing confusion at this time, we'd be happy to move forward without it and get some additional things. So, with that, are there further? Coach, do you have a question?
Question per se, but a statement in that when you're talking about tickets and what have you, when you're printing them, isn't there two different prices for printing? If you're printing an adult ticket and a child's ticket, am I clear about that?
I don't know. I mean, in the playoff games I've seen,
are they all the same price when you're printing them? When tickets are printed, they're printed.
Skip. Hang on a second. If we're gonna answer, I'll let you do it. But please come to the microphone.
A lot of tickets have no price on them. Also, if you're going to move the bill as presented by Senator Bethel, I think that's good. But Dr. Franzen will be here Monday, and I think he would like to elaborate on what he has agreed to take to the executive committee at the spring meeting to fully discuss and bring forth the wishes of your chairman and other people about student pricing for regular season tickets and playoff tickets that occur on the property of the school. I think he can enlighten you as to what the High School Association is willing to do and discuss this matter.
To that point, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the chairman's graciousness in addressing it. The chairman will obviously be here Monday, and I know there's another bill dealing with the similar issues then. If I might be so bold as to propose that if the committee is still yet restless on that issue, when this bill comes to the House floor, the chair has graciously agreed to be my sponsor there. There could be a floor amendment. I mean, if the sense was that was needed.
I concur, and Coach, I'll come back to you. The committee can, this amendment could go on Senate Bill 343 on Monday. Again, my suggestion would be we've aired out the concerns we have about tickets in the interest of time and simplicity. We have another opportunity to do that. We have a bill we can move forward, and if we get it out, if it be the committee's desire, we can get it out in this form, get it reported out to the House, and the Senator will have an opportunity to ask that for rules on Monday, and we could perhaps get this moving along through the process. With that, Coach, did you have a further comment or question?
No, Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion.
Let me check through. Are there any further questions of the author? Any further questions? That now would be the appropriate time, sir.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we move the bill with the amendment.
Let's leave off the amendment if you don't mind.
Okay, let's move. I'll make a motion that we move the bill without the amendment.
I have a motion by Coach Williams that we move forward with due pass recommendation, Senate Bill 288 LC 335498S by substitute, because that's the substitutes that the Senator brought us. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second that we move forward with due pass recommendation, Senate Bill 288 LC 335498S. Is there discussion? Discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. No abstention. The lady, don't see your district. Tell me your district. Representative Jones, District 62, abstains. That moves forward with the due pass recommendation. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a notice on the floor tomorrow for a meeting Monday for Senate Bill 343. It covers something. I would suggest to everyone, if you would, take your packet, the financial packet with you. Take anything you want in your packet with you, but certainly that to give a look and develop any questions you may have. Dr. Schwerigen has been good to come up here and talk to us before, and I expect that he will do that on Monday. Any further business for the committee this afternoon? Any further business? Hearing none, we will stand adjourned without objection. If there's no objection, we are adjourned.